U.S. Secretary of Defense during the Trump administration with us. Thank you very much for being here. First of all, in terms of this prisoner swap, important to note that America didn't actually spend a dime in this deal, but released that frozen money, $6 billion. Was this a wise move? Was this the only move that the West could make?
Well, it's not the only move we can make. And it's great that we're bringing Americans home. They were illegally detained by the Iranians. This is a typical Iranian tactic, if you will. But look, it was a ransom payment. It's one thing to have a swap, typically where you're uncomfortable with prisoner swaps, but that's fine. But this was a $6 billion payment to Iran, a release of Iranian money that was under sanctions for an illicit nuclear program that's been going on for 20 years. And I might add that, look, this isn't the first time that this administration has done this. We forget that in June, earlier this year, nearly $3 billion of frozen funds from Iraq were released at a time when the administration was engaging in talks with Tehran about a new agreement on a nuclear path forward. So this is the pattern. I think the Iranians recognize it. And the big issue that we have to pay attention here is, what are the Iranians learning from this type of behavior? And the fact is, they're going to learn that we will pay for to have talks. We will pay to have Americans released, and that sets a bad precedent.
In terms of this nuclear program, the international community seems pretty alarmed by the development of Iran expelling nuclear inspectors. Can you give us a little perspective on this and whether or not we should be worried?
Right. Well, the Iranians expelled over the last few days nearly one-third the inspectors in Iran right now, and it was protested by the United States, dozens of other countries, and the International Atomic Energy Agency. It was presumably done because those countries complained earlier last week that Iran has yet to make certain declarations or to explain why nuclear material has been discovered at 3 undeclared sites. So nuclear material discovered, we've learned at times it's been enriched up to 83%, which is just 7 percentage points short of what it takes to have a nuclear capable amount of uranium, 90% enrichment. So there are a lot of troubling issues going on within Iran involving their nuclear program. They continue to not abide by their safeguards agreement, by the expectations of the IAEA and the international community. So they just kick the inspectors out. And they do this, ironically enough, at the same time that they are releasing Americans, they are receiving Iranians back, and they get a $6 billion release of funds from the United States.
Does this sound, I mean, it sounds like a mixed message, especially with a nation that has such close ties to Russia, sharing energy over the past number of years in different ways, and quite possibly, quite potentially, sharing nuclear secrets with Russia as well. I mean, diplomatically, this just seems like a false step.
Yeah, look, I think it's prudent to talk to the Iranians. I don't think it's going to get very far. But we shouldn't be releasing funds. We shouldn't be waiving sanctions. We shouldn't be doing those things because the Iranians just pocket that and they move to the next the next item. And as you noted, it's the Iranians that are propping up the Russians in Ukraine with regard to providing drones and missiles and other materials. They, of course, continue their malign activities throughout the Middle East and elsewhere. We really have yet to see any type of positive behavior or improved behavior from the Iranians. And so I think this is, that's why I think these are mistakes being made in the hope that somehow we're going to build confidence or build some type of rapport with the Iranians. We haven't seen them reciprocate yet at all.
There is no rapport. Real quickly, I know we need to wrap up here, but can you remind our viewers again who exactly these Americans are? Are most of them expats? Are they scientists? Are they government officials?
You know, I wish I could tell you who all of them were. Only 3 have been identified. 2 have asked not to be identified. My understanding is they are Americans of dual citizenship, of various backgrounds. But interestingly, the Iranians that we returned to Iran were charged, convicted of a number of crimes related to the passage of sensitive technology back to Iran, in some cases to the Iranian nuclear program, weapons programs. And so these were people who were lawfully charged and convicted, and the Americans were illegally detained. And this is, again, part of the bad behavior by Iran that we want to get them to stop and not to encourage further bad behavior.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.